Welcome to the relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. You may have heard the last 2 or 3 days or so, word out of Japan is that Inoue versus Picasso, Alan Picasso, is a no-go.
Using sophisticated and secret technologies, we were able to decipher the message.
Pipe down, Doctor Who. You use Google Translate.
The Yahoo article reads, Inoue searches for opponent again for May 3rd in Vegas. WBC number 1 ranked Picasso deserts in front of the enemy. Chairman Ohashi said he ran away from Inoue again. Unthinkable. But Picasso said, "Who said I wasn't ready? Who said I wasn't ready? What is the truth behind this comment?"
The defense of the undisputed super bantamweight champion Inoue was scheduled for May 3rd in Vegas, America. It was revealed that Alan Picasso of Mexico, the WBC world number 1 ranked in that division, who had been selected as the challenger, has declined the bout.
Picasso's side decided that there was no chance of winning, and his father requested that he withdraw from the fight. It appears that he was afraid of the risks and damage that he would come up with fighting Inoue. The perfect stage was set for Inoue to return to the United States, like so many people have been asking him to, against the Mexican on Mexico's Cinco de Mayo anniversary. But the promising Mexican hope withdrew at the last minute. Picasso is a medical student at the National Autonomous University of Mexico and a speedy technician with 32 undefeated bouts. The reason he declined the challenge was not only because of the risk of losing to Inoue, but also because his father had calculated that he would aim for a vacant title after Inoue relinquished all 4. After he moves on, which is no time soon, he plans to keep his number 1 WBC ranking and aim for the world title easily when there is no strongest champion. Chairman Hideyuki Ohashi commented with a hint of exasperation, "I can't believe a Mexican would pass up such an opportunity. Not only will he be able to challenge the strongest monster, but the money will be incredible. Most people would be happy to do it." Promoter Top Rank is currently putting together a list of Mexican replacements.
Kid's got 32 professional bouts, but his team doesn't think he's ready yet.
In light of all of this and this recent snafu, it seems to me to be more trouble than it's worth to try to bring Inoue to America.
Just to fight some Joe Blow that nobody knows anyway, at a weight most Americans don't watch anyway.
Promoter Top Rank is currently putting together a list of Mexican replacements with WBA number 2 ranked Ramon Cardenas, WBC number 5 ranked Jose Israel Ramirez, and WBA number 9 ranked Brian Acosta Garcia emerging as candidates. It's important that they secure a Mexican opponent to mark the Mexican holiday. That's actually going to be a very big weekend in the United States, a big weekend for boxing, because on Friday you've got Turki's card with Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, now Teofimo Lopez.
Then on Saturday, in the afternoon, Canelo Alvarez will be making his debut in Saudi Arabia against William Skull, so that same night, if they can get Inoue a fight,
he can cap off the boxing weekend. Inoue's big plans for the future are already in sight. A unification match with WBA interim champion Muradjan Akhmadaliev has already been scheduled for September. In addition, he will appear in the Riyadh season Saudi Arabia show in December and is also planning to challenge WBA featherweight champion Nick Ball in May of the next year. He will also have a dream match with WBC bantamweight champion Junto Nakatani.
In Japan.
No matter who I'm fighting, no matter where I'm fighting, what I do will not change. The monster is sure to put on a spectacular performance in front of American fans, blowing Picasso's escape away
in what is a very ambitious schedule. And so it would seem that Inoue's fight, much like his last one, is just a keep busy fight, just a formality fight, a way to keep him active.
Hard to assess what the risks are when we don't know yet who he's going to be fighting in his next fight, but we have some idea, and it would seem that things get a lot more serious in September when he faces Muradjan Akhmadaliev, who's already spent a lot of time calling him a ducker and calling him out. But I told you, I was confident he knew he was going to fight this guy just on his own time, not Muradjan's. You don't run this ship. You ain't the captain.
Bitch.
Now, you could give Inoue reasonable odds to beat Murodjon Akhmadaliev, who I think will make for a stiffer test than the last couple of guys he's fought, but he's beatable. Marlon Tapales beat him.
Not a triangle theory, just in a very general sense. MJ is beatable, at least more beatable, I think, than Nick Ball. Not as risky.
Fighting Nick Ball would require Inoue to move up to a 5th weight class, a 5th division, against a very physical, rough and tumble fighter that likes to get in your face and at times fight dirty.
To then drop back down and do a fight with Junto next year?
I haven't even fully processed what the Murodjon Akhmadaliev fight is going to look like, but thinking about Nick Ball, it's a question of how high can Inoue go? How far is too far? Because this is a physical guy you're talking about, not a tactician, not a technician, who's very good at closing the distance and roughing the other man up.
Pressure fighters have a way of causing tacticians to unravel. They won't let them fight their fight on their own terms. They keep interrupting them with their pressure, their volume, and their physicality. That even if you think Nick Ball has his limitations, remember, this would be at Inoue's 5th weight.
Proven himself a strong puncher across 4 divisions so far, but is 5 too much?
Will he land with the same authority at 126 that he has been at 122 and all the divisions before that? Will he? Because if he doesn't, then there's nothing to stop Nick Ball from crowding him, from invading his space. And he's not a big guy.
Inoue isn't.
Where Nick Ball has proven himself durable as a featherweight, especially in the Ray Vargas fight, the Ray Savage fight. He's a tough guy.
That's a tough fight. To then move back down to Super Bantam, move back down, which I think Inoue would be able to if he emerged the victor, to take on what is arguably an even more dangerous opponent in Junto Nakatani. This schedule is ambitious, to say the least, but what has Inoue's career been, if not ambitious?
First things first, they gotta find him somebody to fight in May, then he has to beat them.
So let's not put the cart before the horse, postulating about what might happen in Inoue's future. At present, they have to find him somebody to fight, and then he has to beat them.
But it's like people selling that self. Like, you know, even the picture where everybody was in the room. That shit look like some devil shit. Facts though. Some coke, right? Yeah. That shit like some devil shit. Like they sold that soul.
Yeah, you go with that.
That was crazy. And you seen how the guy was? He looked at the scorecard. Yeah,
Turki
he looked
hopped
at
up and
Come on, man. We want to get Tank over here and fight. Man, I already know what y'all gonna do. Yeah. But every time I say something, it's like I'm hating.
Turki LL Sheik has since caught wind of all the things Gervonta Davis said, and he responded saying, "I don't blame Tank Davis for anything that he says. He doesn't know me, and if I put myself in his position, if he sees Crawford making in 2 fights more with 5 times than all of what Tank has made in his career, this is a natural reaction from him. We will let him keep talking, and we will continue making great cards, and Crawford will continue thinking how he will spend all of his money."
Gervonta Davis had this and that to say about Terence Crawford's finances and how he needs the money. He needs the money. That's why he's cashing out with Canelo.
I actually don't get the sense that Terence Crawford is strapped for cash, because as of 2018, when he entered into that extended contract with Top Rank, he was being paid $3 million plus per fight. $3 million plus. Well, in excess of that in some instances, and that's just what he made at Top Rank. Over on Black Prime, they gave him an estimated $10 million for the David Evanesian fight.
It's hard to believe, I know, but those are the numbers that are out there.
And with Errol Spence, he made an estimated, what was it, 25 or 28 million? Something in that neighborhood. Not even counting what else he made after that with Israel Madrimov and what he is going to make with Canelo.
And he's not an ostentatious person, Terence Crawford, spending all of his money on gaudy jewelry like the youngsters do, like Gervonta does. It's my understanding that he's taken a good portion of his money and invested it in real estate in Omaha, Nebraska. He owns a number of properties.
If I were a betting man, I would say that Gervonta Davis will end up burning through all of his cash long before Terence Crawford. And Turki's response, that Gervonta Davis can keep talking while they keep making great fights. He would like to put him in one. He would like to put him in the ring. with Shakur Stevenson.
To that, Gervonta Davis says that Shakur is only calling him out because he mentioned retiring from boxing.
That's called projecting, folks. That's called projecting your inadequacies onto someone else because you only decided to want to fight Vasyl Lomachenko when you heard he was thinking about retiring, where Shakur's been calling you out long before you mentioned anything about retirement. Claiming they're tired of his ass, nobody wants to keep watching that boring shit. That's why they want to hurry up and cash Shakur out.
And nobody from the media challenges him on it. That anybody who's been chronicling this situation will know that Gervonta's talking about himself. He's the kind of guy who would wait for a fighter to start courting retirement before he fights him, because that's what he just did with Vasyl Lomachenko.
There's a paper trail a mile long detailing how many years Gervonta put off that fight and avoided that fight, only deciding he wanted it after Vasyl Lomachenko starts talking about retiring and the media members don't challenge him on it. More evidence that they are complicit in protecting his image. Last month, on the 16th, Gervonta Davis claimed that they sent Shakur Stevenson a contract and he was elsewhere, quote unquote.
Oh, you guys sent Shakur a contract? Then why does Stefan Espinoza say the opposite?
So, speaking of Shakur, he said that you lied about sending him the contract. What do you have to say about that?
No, there was never a contract. I never said there was a contract.
Okay.
Yeah. There were some, very preliminary discussions, with PBC. But, they didn't go very far because, the reality, it never went anywhere near a contract.
Stefan Espinoza is not some guy on the outside looking in. He went from being the Showtime Sports president overseeing all the PBC shows to working for them directly. So he's in the know. He's in the loop.
He's a consultant for them now.
And he says, you guys never sent Shakur Stevenson anything. You never came close to sending him a contract. So why is Gervonta Davis lying?
And why is the media helping him? I'll have you know that Fight Hype, who conducted that interview, have been going around Twitter
looking for anybody who may have come across that video and reposted it.
And it's several accounts.
They've been taking down the video on the premise of copyright infringement, but if you didn't want people to know what Stefan Espinoza said, then why'd you do the interview at all? Why'd you do it in the first place? And are you doing this now to protect Gervonta's image? Because that's what it looks like. It looks like he got caught in a lie.
You don't want people to connect the dots. Where he says they sent Shakur a contract, Stefan says they never came close to doing that. That didn't happen.
So you're running out of excuses to not fight Shakur Stevenson, who's not a hard puncher and he doesn't even throw that many punches. They're offering you a fortune to face him.
So it's not like there's no money in it for you. You're the knockout merchant. You're the tank.
So why should a tank be afraid of a pillow-fisted runner? You say that Shakur Stevenson's not worthy, but Lamont Roach is, who not but one fight ago was fighting on YouTube?
Wasn't that the question they always used to ask? What does this guy bring to the table? What does that guy bring to the table? What does Lamont Roach bring to the table?
He's running out of reasons to not fight Shakur, which is why he's resorted to outright lying. You never sent him anything.
And the sycophantic media refused to call him out on it while they're keying, forming a prayer circle around him. A protective circle to not just protect him inside of the ring, but outside of it. Protect his image.
I don't even really want him to fight Shakur anymore, because if you're so against it, if you are so vehemently against fighting him, you don't want it, it can't be because you like your chances. No, I say, forget Shakur, forget Keyshawn and everybody else, and stick to the plan. This is gonna be your last year in the sport of boxing? Good.
Don't deal with Turkey. Don't go to Saudi. Don't fight Shakur. Don't do nothing. Just hurry up and retire.
The sport of boxing will be better for it when you're not around and you don't have that army of sycophants protecting you. Men's super lightweight news. Very disgruntled Richardson Hitchens said, I told you, Teofimo didn't really want any smoke. He'd rather fight that bum Barboza in New York than make a huge unification match with a New York City world champion, Richardson Hitchens, in the biddy, and we have this shit lit. Cause he knew it was gonna be belt to ass. Hopefully you take care of business and don't duck this unification match like I've been telling you. Send the contract, date, place, and time, and I'm there. The Hitchens era.
In fairness, Arnold Barboza is Teofimo's mandatory challenger. He's not a voluntary, though at the same time, the WBO may have granted him an exemption to the mandatory for a unification. I don't know if they really explored it.
Hitchens continued, Teofimo knew better than to fight a black fighter after all the racist shit that he was on, what he's still on. Teofimo responded by saying, to be real, you were looking for 2.5 million or more. Turki believed you weren't worth that. Barboza was offered, I think, upwards of $1 million for the fight. We can squabble afterwards, you charcoal stick-looking mother...
Okay, let me stop you right there. All of this puts Richardson Hitchens in a compromising situation because tomorrow night in Puerto Rico, there's going to be an IBF eliminator, a final eliminator, to crown his mandatory challenger. And if Subriel Matias wins,
could put the kibosh on the whole goddamn thing. I saw former unified champion George Kimboso say that after his next fight, he's going to get a shot at a world title. I'm going to assume he's talking about Richardson Hitchens' world title.
Because that was a conversation too a couple of weeks ago. They've been going back and forth, but
if Richardson Hitchens petitions the IBF for an exemption to the mandatory so that he can defend his title against George instead, if he exhausts that resource, later on this year, he may not have the liberty to fight Teofimo. That is, he may not have the wiggle room to pursue a unification match. And that's if they even give him one. It's not a given that they would to go fight George. So he's stuck between a rock and a hard place.
I would have preferred Hitchens in place of Barboza because that's a more high-stakes fight. Stylistically, they're very similar fights. The Barboza fight and the Hitchens fight. They're both long-range fighters and movers and jabbers.
Both taller and longer than Teofimo. They would present him the same challenges, but with Hitchens, it would be for 2 alphabet titles instead of just the one. So I would have preferred that fight over this one, but it just is what it is.
He's out in the cold, according to Teofimo, due to what were his financial demands. Should we believe it from him?
2.5 million to Hitchens, you have to wonder, what would Teofimo get since he is the bigger name? If we were to estimate that they're both getting the same money, that would put the pot at $5 million for what is an undercard fight.
I don't actually think they would get the same money. I think Teofimo would get more, which makes it even less cost feasible.
So is the story that Richardson Hitchens priced himself out of the fight? Is that the way it is? Because that's the way it sounds.
Or Teofimo Lopez could be lying.
Neither would surprise me. A boxer fudging the numbers to tell the story, his version of it, is just as likely as an American fighter asking for too much money, overestimating their value.
Neither would surprise me.
But that's the situation. Teofimo is fighting Arnold, and Richardson isn't happy about it.